more in the spotlight. How have you kind of handled the mental side of all of this?
Yeah, we have one here with the fever, and then I have my own personal one as well. So, I mean, I think the mental preparation of the game is far more important, obviously, than the physical, especially when you're trying to compete on this level with, obviously the spotlight, the attention. It's game to game to game. You got to be able to turn the page, but I feel like that's such an important side of it, and honestly, that's something I've done since I've been in college. So, just continuing to do that, I think it's a great outlet for me, and it's not obviously only basketball, but like your personal life too. I think a lot of people at times forget that we're human, we go through a lot of things too, and being.
Caitlin Clark has now spoken directly about the leg sleeve spotted during Indiana Fever practice sessions. The compression gear had sparked speculation among fans and observers, with some wondering whether an underlying physical issue was affecting the star guard heading into the new season. Head coach Stephanie White had brushed off the topic with a lighthearted comment about it being a fashion choice, but Clark herself decided to clear the air. Clark confirmed the sleeve was simply providing compression to the leg, suggesting some degree of swelling or fluid buildup around the knee area. She kept her explanation brief and low-key, not treating the matter as particularly alarming. Whether the swelling carries any real impact on her availability or performance going into the season opener against the Dallas Wings remains something to watch closely, especially given how limited her court time was during the final preseason matchup against Nigeria.
Only basketball, but your personal life too. I think a lot of people at times forget that we're human, we go through a lot of things too, and being able to have an outlet for that too is really important.
When did you get one, or I guess what made you do it?
And at the time in college, we were working with one as a team, and then it kind of just came about where I started working with that person individually, and have since changed and found somebody that I've liked professionally too as well. So that's been a great relationship for me too.
Was that an emphasis in high school as well? Was that something that people talked about, kind of the mental side of the game and taking care of yourself?
Man, high school was a long time ago now.
Beyond the physical question, Clark touched on a range of topics during the media session. On the subject of mental performance, she opened up about working with a sports psychologist, noting she has both a team resource through the Fever organization and a separate individual professional she consults on her own. She described the psychological side of competing as arguably more significant than the physical side at the elite level, particularly given the enormous public attention surrounding her career. Clark mentioned that this kind of mental support became part of her routine back in college, starting as a group resource before evolving into a personal working relationship that has continued to develop since turning professional. She reflected on how her high school experience, while it did not include a formal sports psychologist, still laid some groundwork. Her high school coach consistently emphasized mental readiness and made a point of checking in on players as individuals rather than just athletes.
The mental side of the game, taking care of yourself?
Man, high school was a long time ago now. It was 7 or 8 years. I had a really great high school coach. I wouldn't say that was probably the number one focus. We didn't have a sports psychology coach in high school or anything, but I think my coach in high school always emphasized the mental preparation of the game still. So building those habits and always checked in on us as people as well. So I feel like I've been really, blessed to be surrounded by coaches and people that really care about you as an individual before a basketball player.
Regarding the upcoming season opener, Clark expressed genuine excitement rather than anxiety. She spoke about treating preseason games with the same seriousness as playoff contests, and noted the importance of not letting the weight of opening day distort routine preparation. Her view was that by the time the team reaches the later stretch of the season schedule, the memory of Game 1 will feel distant, reinforcing the value of a game-by-game mindset. She was also questioned about her off-ball role, a topic that has followed her throughout her early professional career. Clark acknowledged the value of being unpredictable and not defaulting to ball handling every possession. She pointed to her defensive rebounding as an area needing improvement following the preseason games, and she highlighted setting screens as another skill she is actively working to develop.
And people that really care about you as an individual before a basketball player.
I know this that time last year was not easy at all.
Yeah.
Now the moment is finally here.
Yeah.
You personally, inside, how are you feeling about just this opportunity to be able to go out there and finally get a chance to play in a real game?
Yeah, absolutely. Just really excited more than anything. And even the preseason games were really fun for myself too. I treat those like real games. I treat those like they're the playoffs. And so just doing, the same preparation as I would for, game 1 that I'm going to do for game 29 that I'm going to do for the playoffs too. So I treat it all the same. And
Clark described some of the inverted action combinations run with teammate AB as genuinely difficult matchup problems for opposing defenses, noting that the ability to experiment and stay creative becomes especially important as the season progresses and opponents study tendencies more carefully. Clark described herself as someone who is not particularly creative in everyday life but feels a natural sense of creative problem-solving when playing basketball. Her overall tone throughout the session was grounded and forward-looking, focused on team growth and personal accountability rather than dwelling on individual attention or outside scrutiny. The annual WNBA GM survey has dropped, and right from the start, the results are nothing short of controversial. Starting with the finals prediction, the Las Vegas Aces are somehow sitting at the top as favorites to claim the championship. This is puzzling, especially considering the New York Liberty spent the offseason assembling what looks like an all-time roster.
Game 1 that I'm going to do for game 29 that I'm going to do for the playoffs too. So I treat it all the same. And, I was talking about this with somebody the other day, but opening day can feel so big and so daunting, and it means so much, and it does, don't get me wrong, but you can't blow it out of proportion. You want to prepare the exact same way. And it was kind of funny, I was kind of laughing. By the time you get to game 40, we're probably all going to look back and not even remember who we played on opening night. So I think you just take it game by game, and that's how you approach things. Obviously, this one is just as important as the next, but you remain focused on the one right.
Yet the Aces are still getting the nod. Make that make sense. Moving to the MVP race, Aja Wilson is the projected winner, and chatter is already building around the possibility of back-to-back-to-back MVP honors. She would need to perform at an extraordinary level to pull that off. On a stranger note, at least one GM threw a vote toward Alicia Graves for MVP, a pick that raises serious eyebrows. The franchise player question delivers the most eyebrow-raising result of the entire survey.
Game by game, and that's how you approach things. Obviously, this one is just as important as the next, but you remain focused on the one right in front of you.
How do you feel about the last 10 days of practice, getting you all prepared for the start of the season, where you guys might be at entering this point?
Yeah, I feel great. Yesterday was hard, which I think was really good for us. Obviously, we have a lot of areas to improve, especially during the Dallas game. You certainly saw that. Defensively, I think has been our focus the last day. I think it will be today too. Then have an off day Wednesday, and then more of the mental preparation, scout focus Thursday, Friday. But yeah, I think practice has been really good.
Paige Buchers lands at number 1. The problem? Buchers just wrapped up a rookie season where her team finished dead last in the league. Fewer points, fewer assists, fewer rebounds, fewer blocks than the competition, and 0 playoff appearances. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, who by nearly every measurable standard outperformed Buchers during that same period, gets leapfrogged entirely. The math simply does not add up, and the suspicion is that only a handful of GMs actually participated in filling out these answers.
And then more of the mental preparation, scout focus Thursday, Friday. But yeah, I think practice has been really good. Energy level has been great, so I can't complain about that.
You talk about team basketball, but for you personally, what do you hope to bring to the table for this team this year? Knowing how close you guys were last year.
Yeah, I think just more than anything, leadership and experience. This is my 3rd year, and even though I wasn't out on the court last year a lot, you still learn on the sidelines. So I think that being something my teammates can really rely on, being a great communicator. Steph's always coaching me on that area. I want to be able to communicate with my team on the court.
Perhaps the most baffling entry in the entire survey is the best point guard category. One player collected 73% of the vote, a player who, by position, does not even qualify as a point guard. This same player has not made an all-star team since 2023 and spends the majority of her minutes operating as a 3 or 4. Yet by GM consensus, she is the top point guard in the league by a landslide. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, who actually runs point, received 0 votes for best shooting guard. So the league's GMs apparently cannot decide where Clark fits while simultaneously ignoring her at every position.
Steph's always coaching me on that area. I want to be able to communicate with my team on the court exactly what she wants and what I think is best for the team. So just continuing to do that. I feel like I've done a good job of that, but once we get in the heat of battle, sometimes that can get hard, so continuing to do that.
You talked about this before, but how do you learn to make yourself great since you continue to navigate this life that you're living when you know that everything you do is going to be scrutinized to the end?
Yeah, it's definitely easier said than done, and I think people forget at the end of the day, I care more than all of you. I want to be the best, and
Following that logic through, the Aces are credited with the best point guard, best shooting guard, best forward, and best center in the entire league. All 4 spots. Every single one. On the forward rankings, the placement of Jonquel Jones above Aliyah Boston is another result that defies explanation. Regarding team movement, the Dallas Wings receiving credit for the best overall offseason moves is at least defensible.
This is the first of the crazy ones. Also, who the hell said Alicia Gray was winning MVP? If you were starting a franchise today and you could sign any player, who would it be? Paige Becker is number 1. Can somebody explain to me how Paige Beckers had a rookie season where she was last place in the WNBA, had a worse, scored less points, had less assists, had less rebounds.
The Indiana Fever's offseason was genuinely rough, so their absence from that list is fair. New York pulling in an elite roster somehow did not crack the top 2, which is a head-scratcher. The acquisition impact section asks which new signing will matter most. Gabby Williams leads at 27%, which seems reasonable. Sato Sabali comes in at 13%.
Had less rebounds, had less blocks, and didn't make the playoffs, obviously in last place. Half the wins. Somehow, and is, by the way, older than Caitlin Clark. Leapfrog Caitlin Clark. But obviously, my guess is that very few GMs answered these questions. I would say maybe Paige got one more vote than them, but still.
A vote.
I would say maybe Paige got one more vote than them, but still. Fee and Stewie getting a vote is crazy. A vote was probably worth 7%, so 2 more said Paige. It's close, but that is crazy. That is crazy. Which player forces opponents' coaches to make adjustments? Asia being first is 60%. At least Caitlin Clark got a vote this year. But last year it was like Asia 33, Caitlin 33. It's like there's amnesia. Who's most likely to break?
Stephanie White, receiving only 14% of the motivator vote after nearly steering an injury-riddled squad to a championship, is genuinely strange. For best offensive system, Carlos Moser not winning after what his team executed last season is hard to explain. The same argument applies to Tibbetts. On the defensive side of things, Aja Wilson tops best defender and best interior defender, both of which are fair assessments. Gabby Williams being named best perimeter defender is also a reasonable call.
A breakout season, Malonga over Kia Jackson. Paige Becker is having a breakout season. How do you have a breakout season after averaging 20 points per game last year? Who's the best point guard in the WNBA? How exactly do you get 73% of the vote when you don't play point guard? Like, this is the worst thing. She hasn't made an all-star team since 2023.
Golden State winning best defensive team is a bit of a surprise. A vote for Carrington makes even less sense, and Alana Smith receiving a vote for top defender is almost inexplicable. The most entertaining team to watch section places Dallas at the top. Given what was on display during preseason, a fast-paced, defense-optional style, that choice holds up. Atlanta follows close behind, which also tracks.
She hasn't made an all-star team since 2023. She hasn't made an all-star team since 2023 and doesn't play point guard. Like, what's going to be said? Apparently, there's point guard in the WNBA by a landslide is a non-all-star
Indiana comes in fourth, which seems reasonable given the youth and energy on that roster. Back to individual rankings, the comparison placing a certain player above Aliyah Boston is notable, particularly when Boston is actually younger than Buchers. Best passer goes to the expected name, but only one GM voted for Caitlin Clark in that category. One. That is a glaring omission by any reasonable basketball standard.
All-star who plays the majority of her minutes at the 3-4. And by the way, like, there's Caitlin Clark amnesia here. There's Caitlin Clark amnesia. Paige Beckers is the best 2-guard, and Caitlin Clark did not get a vote for the best shooting guard in the league this year.
Chelsea Gray sweeps multiple categories: best leader, best basketball IQ at 93%, best clutch player, most versatile, and more. The basketball IQ figure is especially odd. It jumped from 36% to 93% following a season where she averaged 11 points per game and was shifted to power forward during the finals. The clutch pick is arguably the one category where that choice holds genuine merit. The overall picture painted by this survey is deeply uneven.
Not get a vote for the best shooting guard in the league this year. So, according to, this is Caitlin Clark amnesia. Who's the best forward? A'ja Wilson. So, the Aces have the best point guard, the best shooting guard, the best forward, and the best center in the league? Really? Really? How the hell did Jonquel Jones get voted ahead of Leah Boston? That is mental. What team made the best?
Players are being ranked at positions they do not occupy. Statistical performance is being ignored. Certain names are being systematically undercredited while others are inflated without clear justification. The Aces are crowned best at everything. The Caitlin Clark omissions run through nearly the entire document.
What team made the best overall moves? In fairness, the fact is that Alice Wings, I like that because the Indiana Fever screwed up bad. Like, the Indiana Fevers last year, it was actually terrible. So I'm glad the Fever aren't on this list. Apparently bringing in Vegas is enough. Apparently New York bringing in forming the Avengers was not enough to get top 2. Which player acquisition will make the biggest impact? Who the hell voted Marina